If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
It is about that time. We're back. Far end of the bench. We're really the far end of the bench now. I don't know why the name fits so well. Colorado football, as good as it was last week, took an L, major L's over the weekend. We're going to talk about it. Thank you guys very much for tuning back in. Whether you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like. Make sure that you follow wherever you're listening podcast-wise. You can also catch us on the Variety Sports Network. Make sure you check out their show, their channel. You can catch Talking the Gridiron with myself, Darren from Fat Boy Fadeaway. Nico's going to be on a couple different shows coming up. There's a lot to get to, so I guess we'll keep the intro fairly short. We're starting with similar things, but Nico, we got to address the elephant in the room. We were a mustache podcast, and now we're back to the mustache and the whatever else the other host has.
Yeah,
it's weird for me being the flagship mustache guy.
The baby face assassin is back, is all I'll say. The chubby cheek, round face. All I need is a bald head now, and I look like a damn child again. So yeah, it's gone. That got me through a lot. It got me through 2 championships. Obviously, things needed to change. But I felt as though it was time for a change. So big life changing moment. I know.
It is. It's strange. Hopefully, people recognize it. If you're catching us for the first time, this segment will make no sense. But you'll find if you just continually listen, we'll catch you back up. We do a lot of callbacks. We do a lot of great stuff. You can see the ticker if you're watching this on the YouTube channel. We're going to talk PLL Championship, NCAA football, Pick'em, obviously. That's still going. Nico pitched a perfect week, so we didn't have to wait that long for a perfect week this time. He pitched a perfect game, 5-0. We'll get to all that.
Told you to fade the Broncos. I didn't think it'd be fade that much, but fade the Broncos.
Nobody expected that, but I didn't realize how much of a perfect revenge storm that it was. And we'll save that for that part of the show. Be sure also, if you like this show, check out Top of the Mountain. If you're an NCAA Division II football fan, myself and Rev Coca, that will be Fridays. My Sunday Scaries is going to be every other Sunday. We were off last week. We'll be back on this week. That's all underneath this feed as well. And be sure to follow at FEOCB Pod. PLL, Nico. I was texting you. I was watching. I did watch the end of it. I was hoping for overtime. I was hoping for a wild moment. Kind of got taken out of our hands. And I guess we could talk about that. But first, before we get into the actual game, you were very up close and personal for the entire PLL season. You traveled to every event, worked with the Redwoods, and then as things went on, worked in the playoffs. What was your take now that you've seen it? I know that we were fans of the PLL. We've talked about the PLL. We've been champions of that league on this show. But now that you've seen it live and in person, you've been a part of the mechanism that they have become. What did you see in this PLL league that's going to take them to the next level as they're going to take the next step? Now they have host cities. Now we're going to start seeing this. Are they going to be able to push for the MLS status of 5th most watched sport? It's interesting. There's a lot of different steps that are coming up.
Yeah, being in person and being there was a dream come true. Being a part of the PLL and being a part of a brand in the Redwoods Lacrosse Club was something that was match made in heaven for me. I love being a part of it. I love being back in a sport that I grew up playing and grew up watching, obviously, constantly, and obviously with a team that was a top 4 team in the league. Like, you can't get much better than that. So like I said, it was everything I advertised and so much more. This league has so much more growth possibilities that it has, like so much more avenues, so many more things that it hasn't even touched yet that it can grow. Like whether it be the street lacrosse that they introduced with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, or whether it be the All-Star game with the fastest shot, 125 miles per hour, by the way, or like the ESPN, the Gatorade stuff, you name it, everything's going in the right direction, and being there in person every single week really, really hit the nail on the head. I really, like I said, I cannot be more thankful for from being a part of it and getting the chance to be a part of it, because like I said, It's a league that's goal right now is to be the fifth most popular sport in America, or fifth most popular professional league. That is, right. Obviously, with the MLS being the fifth, baseball, hockey, basketball, football, and the hockey being the fifth. It takes time to get to there. And obviously, soccer is the world sport, so who knows if they'll ever get there. But taking the right steps to build the sport is exactly what the PLL is doing.
And I think too, we got to see a lot of the culture behind the sport, and that's why football, soccer, European football, it is important because of the tradition. We started to see the PLL every time that they went somewhere. I think back, I turned on the Minnesota weekend, and that was the native peoples, the indigenous peoples Remembrance Weekend, and they talked about the different sticks, and we talked about it on this show. Um, I feel like they have a pretty good grasp of the platforms that are available to them. They should be pushing heavily on social media because all the other professional leagues have such a built-in television audience that they lack there. So you can build yourself up on that platform. And you have the former best player who now he's fully into the ownership mode when he was kind of half in, half player, half owner. It was weird. He's in the full-time league role. And I think you've seen the league has been better since he has been a player. Not to say that he wasn't a great player, but now that he can focus wholeheartedly on making sure everything else is in place and not have to worry about a game and playing good or bad himself, Paul Rabel, his brother Mike, the entire PLL in general, I think deserves a lot of kudos. And people seem to be very excited about getting the host cities. I don't know. What are your feelings on it? Is it time? Do you think that maybe it could be a little bit early? Are you nervous about what that's going to do to things, or you think there's not going to be much of a change because they're still going to do the touring model even with the host cities? Now you just tour around to those same 8 host cities. So what do you think?
I think it's very important. I think it's very important to have host cities because that's how you build the youth game. If you look at how I grew up playing lacrosse here in Denver with the Outlaws here, one of the Outlaws either ran a tournament or they'd have the Denver Outlaws, like the Denver Bandits is what we were called, which was the Outlaws quote unquote affiliate little league team. Like stuff you can do with that just gives back to the youth specifically is one of the biggest things the PLL tries to cover. Obviously, with the junior championships, that was a big part of this past year. With the back in Baltimore where the youth championships were, and that was so big having those kids wear the team colors, wear the team helmets, team logos, team stuff, everything, and then get a chance to represent the Water Dogs or the Archers, the Redwoods, whoever it may be, and that youth stage is so cool because, like I said, look, when I was little, I keep bringing basketball up because basketball takes up majority of my life. It feels like, but every time you play youth basketball, it'd say Junior Nuggets on it, junior Nuggets, junior whatever. Like that's because everyone wanted to be a Nugget player. Obviously, not with how much the growth the game of basketball has. Those kids that grew up wearing Nuggets across their chest as a 5-year-old. We're at that parade not too long ago. Still world champions. You can put that up there. It's really is a beautiful thing that you can build when you have host cities. And the PLL is, like I said, it's a stepping stone. It's absolutely a stepping stone. There's still a lot of things that need to be done. Maybe expansion. Maybe still traveling, but having host cities, who knows what it'll look like 5 years from now. But like I said, I'm very, very excited to see what the model will look like and how things go.
Now let's get to the game that we had over the weekend. I can't remember. Did you pick the Archers? Did you pick the Water Dogs?
I didn't pick anybody.
You didn't make a pick, but you were saying that you maybe preferred the Archers to win because then as a Redwoods affiliate, you lost to the team that ended up winning the league championship. 15-14 came down to the absolute wire, especially down the stretch. People were getting whacked. The ball was getting moved around.
How much we're getting popped
that
off
was
heads.
I turned it on, and that was the legit first play that I saw of the game. I was like, oh, there's nothing on. The Broncos are getting beat by 50. What's the P? Oh my God. Somebody got shot. Somebody's dead on the field.
Graham Hossack absolutely laid the wood on I think it was Caraway. I'm not sure who it was, but it was an absolute look. For those who just tuned in to to the PLL and that's a great look. Say what you want about injuries and everything. That is a great introduction. How violent the game is. Okay, this game is very very violent and it's a violent sport in general.
You
And
got to have your head up. It's
you
like in
have to
hockey.
have your head on
He
a
didn't
swivel.
have. He was looking back at the ball and he didn't ever see the defender. He
It's
didn't
like
see him at all. Ever.
to be fair, it's like a quarterback throwing to a receiver crossing the middle of the field with Ray Lewis standing in the middle. Let's be honest. Graham Hossack has that much power in the middle, and look, a long pull coming down the field, and just looking for the ball. He doesn't think he's gonna get hit. That just doesn't happen. And the guy who passes the ball just laid it to like a T. Once he had the ball, look, you have to call a penalty because the guy's helmet flew off.
I
It's
was gonna
almost like
say, but
it's almost like you can't really promote that. But my God, that's a hit that
what's the
people have
flag?
known for a long time.
Excessive blocking. He hit him too hard. I was gonna say that. That was a little bit soft in my opinion. I was a little upset. I didn't want it ended up not mattering because the Water Dogs gave up a shorthanded goal. So I don't know. What from start to end, the Archers were basically in this spot where they're the top team in the league. We weren't sure if it was going to happen. We know as professional sports fans and people who watch professional sports, it is very hard. I've had this up on the screen a couple times, looking for back-to-back championships, and they fall short. They nearly had it. They were in a spot where they were getting ready. If they held on, they could have had the victory, and they just weren't able to do it.
It wasn't just hold on. They had a shot with the last 12 seconds of the game. Those who saw Jack Caraway from the point had a 2-point shot on net in the last 12 seconds. A goal that wouldn't have just tied it would have put them up. Like if you watch the replay of Dobson's of the replay of in the net, Brett Dobson's, who was the goalie for the Archers, obviously won the PLL Championship MVP. His stick tipped the ball enough where it just sailed up. Like you can watch that. You can pull up the replay on YouTube. It was that close to a Water Dogs championship, literally a game of inches, as they call it. And look, will it be the play that set up the game-winning goal by Schreiber? Whether it be the dive out of bounds to win the loose ball, because Michael Sowers was walking to the end line. For those that don't know the game of lacrosse, when a shot on net goes by, if the ball rolls out of bounds, it's first to the ball. Like it doesn't matter if you shot the ball. It doesn't matter if you
Was
were
a
the
hell of
defense.
an effort.
Exactly. It is first to the ball, and the dive by I can't remember the name who did it, but the dive by the short stick D midi to get there to be.
And they were talking about it too. He had to dive because his stick was out of bounds. Technically, he's out of bounds. He put his hand down right before the end line to count still as inbounds, and he was closest to that's
crazy.
That's a championship effort.
It absolutely is.
It's a mindset like us sitting here as regular people. You cannot fathom the amount of effort and want to that it takes to win a championship, especially at the highest level. And I would say the PLL right now is the highest level of lacrosse. And to be able to do that, have the presence of mind, have a body part inbound so it counts, make this play. Like I'm screw standing around, giving the Water Dogs another chance to throw it. Sowers is just going to stand there. I'm going to beat him to the point. I'm going to make sure my hand is down in bounds. We're getting the ball back, and we're not giving them another shot.
And look, it definitely looks like the Archers wanted it more. The Water Dogs looked as though they were a little complacent after winning last year, that they could coast through it. The Archers from the get-go just said, no, we want it. Like, this is our time. And look, kudos to them not having Connor Fields, not having Latrell Harris, two guys who are massive parts of the team. Latrell Harris is arguably the best short stick midi in all of the cross, and Connor Fields had a hell of a year as well as an attackman. They just came in and the guys that said next man up, and they just stepped up like no other. Obviously, look, the MVP Tom Schreiber with the game-winning goal. It was one of the prettiest snipes you'll ever see. The top corner just painted it so perfectly with his back to the net. Obviously, there was a little bit of iffiness about this clock starting and stopping. That was a little bit to be determined because he got it off with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, and shot clock didn't start until like 3 seconds in. So a little bit
If you're
of
gonna let
toughness
that
there.
be that big of a factor, then you
Back to
didn't
White
deserve
House.
to be in that
Exactly,
situation.
exactly. So and look, Tom Schreiber is an all world player, and the Archers absolutely deserved with the effort they showed to win that.
That was such a pretty goal. Such that it was a subtle fake to where I almost missed it as a lacrosse newbie, but I saw it just enough. And then when they showed that Quint Keshnick is very good at the PLL side of things on the sideline and like pointing stuff out. I believe he was a lacrosse goalie, and he said the guy is looking bottom left corner and he pulls it and throws top right. And you don't expect that. That's not a sequence of moves that you ever see, that anybody ever is taught to do. And the Archers pulled out all the stops. Schreiber was the guy that they were talking about, had won everything except a league championship, and now he's a league champion. I want to give a shout out to DeLuca because I do think we were texting during that point. Ward goes down with the injury. That just looked bad. It was on grass. Heel slipped out and he hyperextended his knee as he was going down into a split. So hopefully he's okay. I haven't seen any update. I don't know the extent to his injury, but DeLuca came in and he gave up one goal. That was like we just said, that was the one goal that he gave up, something that was as pretty as the move that was put on him, but he was in a good spot. That was these guys are becoming professional athletes. They are professional athletes. He was in the position. He knew the only job that I have is if Ward goes down, I have to be able to go in and I can't open the floodgates. And he didn't do that. It took a hell of a play to beat him. So I think DeLuca deserves a shout out. You obviously said Dobson on the other side. He was the game MVP. He was the championship MVP.
Yeah, he was. Look, Dobson arguably could have been goalie of the year if it wasn't for a guy named Blaze Reardon. And Blaze Reardon obviously is a world class player. But Dobson had arguably one of the best years of a very young goalie's career. The guy was not a starter at the beginning of the year. He stepped right in and took over the role and just never looked back. And look, he played an absolutely excellent game, top to bottom. Like you said, DeLuca coming in was big, and him only letting the one goal in. Obviously, it's the one goal you don't want to see, but he did play up to the standard of what Lord was playing like. But like I said, it was two of the best teams in the league, and they fought their asses off. It was, like I said, if you're a lacrosse fan in general, you can't help but to be happy about what you saw on the field and what it's going to look like going forward.
Next time that we're going to see PLL action, do you know when the Champ Series takes place? You got
I
to
don't
be
know
out
the
there.
date. I don't know the date, but it'll be either end of January or beginning of February. Because the only reason why I know that was because of what the timeline was this year. I don't, like I said, don't call me on this. I don't know exact dates, but I think that's roughly the timeline.
When we're able to get an update, we are going to be talking about that. We'll cover it. We're going to be back covering the PLL, and we're going to see where Nico gets a job because that is part of the deal. Wherever the host cities are chosen, he will move with the Water Dog. I know he will move with the Redwoods. He will move with the Redwoods. We're going to have to start implementing a push-up penalty. Maybe I'll get stronger. Maybe that'll help me because I'm not getting smarter. College football. Did you watch some college football on Saturday now that you have your weekends free and you don't have to be doing
I was at a wedding Friday, so not entirely because I was traveling Saturday, but yeah.
You were a respectful wedding guest, didn't have the game on your phone. Couldn't be me.
I was very
if you invite me to a wedding in the fall, you best believe I'm bringing my mini iPad.
I know. I was on a flight during the whole Notre Dame Ohio State game, so that was the only unfortunate thing. The wedding on Friday, so I did get to see the CU game. I wish I didn't, but I did. But besides that, all I saw was the only thing I basically needed to see was poor Lou Holtz, 85-year-old Lou Holtz, getting chewed out by Ryan Day.
That was so weird because that's not. Ryan Day's not that kind of like you expect that from Ed Ogeron. You expect that from Kirby Smart. You expect that from Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, where you take something that the senile said. That's like somebody being mad at poor Lee Corso. They just drop Lee Corso off every weekend at College Game Day. Be like, go sit at the desk. He's like, who are you? Where's my breakfast? Like, Lee, you ate already. let's just go sit down, put on his
Do
mascot head.
you think he knows that there was two Lou Holtz talking to each other, and that he and because the segment was from the Pat McAfee show, and one of the guys on the show does a Lou Holtz impersonation, pretty good one too, and he dressed up as him and sat across from Lou Holtz. I mean, I don't think he realizes that Lou Holtz was talking to Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
He was talking to himself, basically, hyping up Notre Dame football. That's all you need to know about the whole conversation, basically. And look, I couldn't help but laugh because I saw it and I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And look, he has all the right to be fired up. What a game and what a win that was. But man, was it funny to see that. And I was dying laughing.
Weird.
I was like,
85-year-old
Lou Holtz is sitting on his back porch watching this game. At the end of the game, be like, it's the Drewski.
It was past his bedtime. He had eaten his early bird special. He was asleep. He woke up and then somebody told him, "Hey, Ryan Day said some things about you." And he's like, "Ryan, who?" It's like the coach in Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio's a state. I know that. What are you talking about? Lou Holtz has no idea what's going on. And if you're not that guy, why pretend? I think I know why he's pretending, because just like how Dan Lanning was pretending, which is the other game that we're going to talk about before we talk about rankings. But Coach Prime, I think, said it, and I think he's correct. It's not necessarily that people hate CU and they don't hate the kids that Coach Prime has brought in on the team, but they understand now that when you play Coach Prime, you get eyeballs, because guess what? CU pulled another 9 million viewers. Watching them get beat 42-6, they pulled another 9 million viewers. People are watching, paying attention. I will give Dan Lanning his credit. He said after the game, I knew exactly what we were doing. I thank Dion for the platform, because now everybody knows Oregon's legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oregon is, because they did whatever they wanted and they played their brand of football. They did not acquiesce. They did not pull back. They did not call off the dogs. They called off the dogs more than another team that played a Denver, Colorado team. Is all I'll say. That is true, but I think it's stupid that people are saying, like people like Skip Bayless saying that this was malicious. He wanted to go after Dion. No, he's trying to prove to everybody, you best pay attention to the Oregon Ducks this year. Bo Nix, in his 18th year of college football, has it figured out. He looks damn good at quarterback.
And look, Oregon hasn't been relevant since Marcus Mariota was a quarterback. Let's be honest with each other. Justin Herbert did nothing there as a quarterback. Did nothing. That team, the Oregon Ducks in general, have not been a title picture team since Mariota was at QB, and that's facts. And look,
they could have scored on every offensive play.
They easily could have. And look, that is not a shade to it kind of is a shade to CU and where they're at, but it is more of a kudos to where Oregon is at. It is a much more developed program, a team that is much more built from the top to bottom. And look, for the longest time, if you were a high-level recruit, you were dying of hopes that you got a letter from Oregon. Because that means you got to go up to see those facilities, get all that Nike gear, see all that cool swag you get. Like that is, look, when you talk about top tier college football programs of the 20th century, 21st century, whatever the hell we're in, Oregon Ducks have to be put in the conversation because of the swag and the drip. They are what we call the Miami Hurricanes of this generation. Obviously not the national championships of sorts, but they have the drip, they have the swag, they have everything. That's because good old Nike owner, the person who created Nike went to Oregon. Phil Knight. Phil Knight is basically runs Oregon. So, and look, Oregon has everything in a box of cookies. CU does not have everything. They have players. There's zero denying that. Those players are not the level, are not across the board, are not the level of Oregon. And look, the Shedeur Sanders of the world, obviously you would have loved to see Travis Hunter out there, but Travis Hunter would have made that game 30-10, not 40-7 or whatever the hell it was.
They still probably would have gotten covered against. And Oregon had a point to prove. But here are some good things that other teams besides Oregon can take out of this. Oregon will have another thing, but CU needed this because CU needed to be shown. I think some of these kids started to believe Coach Prime's story a little bit more than he did, which is an issue. You got to be realistic. You can have the coach out there saying that he's confident, he's cocky, don't let my arrogance affect your insecurity. You still got to be realistic with yourself. This offensive and defensive line sucks balls.
It's not
All the balls.
not good.
They can't get a pass rush. They can't get a run stop. They cannot run block. They cannot pass block. Those are the 4 things you have to do as a lineman. I know exactly where Deion's going in the transfer portal. He's pulling in every single 5-star lineman recruit that he can. So it'll be fixed by next year. But we all saw this coming. We all knew this was going to happen. The only issue now, the only reason why it's fun to crap all over Colorado is because we had the 3 weeks of, wow, nobody expected them to be undefeated. They are so brash. They just draw attention. So people hate them because they draw attention, but people are also going to use that attention. You can't tell me, who needs a makeover after this weekend is USC, because USC went to Tempe and Arizona State almost ruined that party. I think Oregon, if Oregon see it and USC play in the Pac-12 championship right now, Oregon beats them by 30. And it's not even that close.
We'll see what this USC team is made of. Absolutely. And then look, when they play CU next week, we'll compare the two, obviously. And look, if USC wants to play with their food and play the Arizona States of the world and not give them a good fought battle, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Dan Lanning has done a hell of a job with that Oregon group, getting them ready every single week. And like I said, look, this is not discounting the CU what they've done the first 3 weeks. Like let's not get this twisted, everybody. Not once on this show did Jimmy or I, especially myself, not once did either of us say this team is a national championship contender. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
8-4 is damn good. Full eligible right now is the standard.
1-11, Jimmy. Let's not forget 1-11. Like, look.
You and I are on the same page. I don't know. I had to go at the VSN page. I had to go at the VSN page on Twitter because it's just fun to crap on Deion right now.
Would I like this team to be competitive, have been competitive against Oregon? Absolutely, okay? Like I would have loved for them to be competitive, but I knew realistically that they weren't going to win that football game.
I just wanted it to be 21. I didn't need it to be 30, 38.
I just would have loved the cover, okay? I just would have loved a little bit of a cover to help myself here, okay? But
80% of America's money was on CU in that game.
There is a misconception of Colorado sports, and let's just put that out there, okay? People misconceive the Avs. For fuck's sake, the ESPN came out with it. We don't have to talk about this, but the ESPN came out with top 10 teams 3 years from now, and the Avs weren't even in it. Interesting. And then you look at the Nuggets, obviously a team that was doubted their whole entire existence until this year. The Broncos don't even need to talk about it because they're irrelevant at this point. Thank you, Jimmy. Colorado sports is just like I said, we're just this damn little old cow town in the Rocky Mountains that gets flown over, basically. That's all people think about Denver, Colorado, Boulder, Colorado in general. See, what Deion is doing is great for college football and great for the Colorado Buffaloes. It cannot be understated how many eyes are on college football right now because of him. Say what you want about what the program is right now and how stupid it is that you see Deion on your Instagram or Twitter page from ESPN every other day. It brings eyes to the sport. You can look. People who are sick and tired of seeing fucking Bama, seeing Ohio State every fucking week. Yeah, those teams are good for the long run because they're good teams in general every single year. But my God, I'm tuning in to watch the Colorado Buffaloes, Jimmy. Like people got sick and tired of watching Bama play the Sisters of the Poor, watching Clemson beat fucking the blind men of South Carolina. No offense. But I'm not wrong here. People got sick of it. It is a fresh little understanding of the game of football that we love and the college football game that we love. Like we said, this team's goal is a good bowl game, is a very good bowl game, is to get yourself into a conversation where you're fighting for a Pac-12 championship, fighting for it. You may not win,
and we get to keep receipts. Exactly. I hope that people continue to try and say this isn't going to work and that this isn't. Just wait. Just wait, because now he's not selling fantasies. He's proven it. It can happen here. He gets the right players in Boulder. I guarantee you next year looks 110%.
I guarantee look, Deion sticks around for 2 or 3 more years. I'll guarantee right now on the show that they'll be in the playoff next year when it gets to 12. I'll say it. I'll go on record and be the one to say it.
I think they'd get in if it was
get,
just 6 too. I will say that. I think next year it's going to be we don't know how much better they're going to look after this season. That's the crazy thing. They still had to figure out what worked and didn't work in Boulder.
Travis Hunter's coming back for another year, more than likely. Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur and Shiloh both said here. Travis, Shedeur, and Shiloh, all three said 2 more.
And they all and look, Dion is a man that preaches getting schooling done and getting things done the right way.
He's doing it the right way. That's another thing. Not to cut you off, but the people who slander Dion's name, I challenge you. If you're somebody who wants to talk about the way Deion Sanders handles his business, just look at the other side of things. Don't look at the flashy persona in front of the camera. Look at the message that he gives his players. Look at the standard that he holds his players to in the classroom and the graduation.
In the neighborhood, in the locker room, in team
he says himself, not everyone is making it, even at a high-level program like what he wants to build. Like the top 2% of high-level kids actually go on and make an NFL career. So you best get your degree. That is first and foremost. And he's got guys that are, if without him, are in terrible situations. I guarantee you, Jimmy Horn Jr. may be in prison or dead if Deion Sanders doesn't have him on a football scholarship because guess what? His dad's already in prison.
Like I said, I'm not going to go that far, but like I said, it does show the level of what the character he's bringing to each individual on that team. And like I said, the likes of Jimmy Horn, Dylan Edwards, and company. You hear the Travis Hunter stories, you hear the Shedeur Sanders stories of they're transferred, they're given everything they want. There's a lot of guys on this team that fought their way and had to earn what they were given. And look, Deion absolutely is doing things the right way and doing things in a way that, like I said, it brings more eyes to the college football world. If it wasn't for the biggest pop star on earth, it would have been the most watched football game this past weekend. Is all I'm going to say. Okay, so like I said, it's great for the sport. It's great for in general. And like I said, no one except the fucking media outlets think that this team was going to win a national championship. I didn't think so. Jimmy didn't think so. I thought that there was a chance at a Pac-12 championship, and that was pushing daisies, okay? But there is a very, very good chance at getting a very, very good bowl game where you're not playing the fucking Outback Bowl where you're grilling steaks on the side now, okay? There's a chance at a very, very good bowl game, and that's where Deion and CU is at right now. They're not in the national championship picture, and no one, especially not on this show, thought so. And everyone that with a right mind didn't think so either. You're just finding ways to out people doing cool things.
Let's go ahead. I have it on the screen. We're going to look at the top 25 rankings because they were pretty damn strict, if I'm going to say so myself. We're about a month into the season. We basically have an idea. Here's the greatest thing about this college football season is that nobody has proven themselves to be untouchable. No. Georgia has looked human at times. So everybody has looked human.
Bama's already lost. Ohio State barely got through Notre Dame. Michigan has looked hot and cold.
We have
Texas almost lost. Like Texas almost lost. USC almost lost.
The top 10 schools right now, they're all undefeated. I'll go in descending order. So 10 is Utah, 9 Oregon, 8 USC.
They only jumped up 1 spot. That is very, very interesting.
Well, because USC dropped 3, Washington jumped up 1 with their dominant performance. Penn State, Florida State, that's your 10 to 5. So Florida State dropped out one spot as well.
Yeah, they barely got through Clemson, but that's a good win for their resume.
They hadn't beat Clemson in Death Valley in so long. Like, I don't care if you drop in the rankings. You needed to do that for your confidence. Like, you need to win the ACC. Or worry about winning the ACC before you worry about the playoff. 5-1, it goes Ohio State 4. They moved up 2 spots. Texas stayed where they are. Michigan stays where they are. And Georgia stays where they are. If you look at the AFCA poll, which is the other one, it has Texas 5, Florida State 4, Ohio State 3, Michigan 2. Michigan finally got Jim Harbaugh back. He's off of his self-imposed suspension. So they look like a different team. But it's crazy because all top 10 of those teams, and then you have Notre Dame still there at 11. They're not going to go anywhere, especially with Sam Hartman at quarterback. Bama, if they can right themselves and find somebody who could be competent at the quarterback position, we know how talented they are. You have all of these other undefeated teams just kind of hanging out there. Miami, Duke, Washington State. Washington State looked really good. They beat a top 25 team on the road. Oregon State was top 15, I think, in the country. They were able to handle him. The rankings are. It's a shame we don't get the 12-team playoff this year because there would be so many different matchups.
Oh, I think this year would have been the perfect year, and that's the sad thing about it. And look, say what you want about college football being diminished because of the NIL deal. This is because of the NIL deal. The disparity you're seeing, Alabama fucking hasn't been out of the top 10 since probably the 2000s. Okay, I don't know when it was, but it's been a very, very long time. 2008. So it's been near a decade and a half. Like that's where we're at right now. Look, and Bama has a very tall hill to climb if they want to get into the college football playoff. They have to
get into the SEC championship right now.
SEC championship, yeah, they have a very large hill to climb. So you can basically write them off from the college football playoff. As I'm saying this, they'll probably do it, but you just take my word for it. Ohio State and Michigan will beat each other. One of those won't win. One of them will go to the college football playoff. One won't.
Penn State plays both those teams too.
Exactly. So like probably only one of those three teams get in. And that means you'll see either Texas, you'll see Florida State, you'll see new blood in the college football playoff. That's all I've been asking for, Jim. It's all you've been asking for.
Yes.
Like I said, new blood, new things. And the NIL, you cannot sit here and tell me the NIL deal has nothing to do with that. It absolutely helps. Those, like I said, you go to Texas. Like I said, Texas for the longest time was a dying program, and it comes back all of a sudden because you get the number one quarterback, Quinn Ewers, to transfer to you, and then you get Arch Manning, Peyton Manning's son, to commit to you. You can't sit here and tell me that both those guys saw, you know what, I could bring Texas back. You know how much money I'm going to get?
Make so much money.
You know how much money I can get and to bring Texas back? Are you kidding me?
You mean Matthew McConaughey's on the sidelines? Oh, cool. I'll go there.
Yeah, exactly. So
all right.
It is bringing everything back in this disparity across college football, and that's all I asked for. And look, Georgia, everyone was saying, "Oh, dog walk to another national championship." Not so fast, as Lee Corso says, is all I'm going to say. And there's going to be, I think there's going to be a quote unquote TCU of sorts, where you're like, holy shit, that team's in the national championship. They made a run. Like,
you know who that is? You want me to call my shot right now?
I want to hear it.
Washington. Michael Penix is a legit Heisman candidate. Yeah. Michael Penix Jr. now is, if he can stay healthy, that's my caveat. That's how I'll get myself out of it. Michael Penix Jr. plays the entire season for Washington and plays it healthy. They're able to keep themselves where they are and continue to improve the way they've shown. Washington will be that surprise team that you're like, oh, they have a legit shot this year. The last time they were in the playoff, they didn't have a shot. They went up against a tall Alabama team. That's not going to happen this year.
Their biggest problem is that, look, the Pac-12 is very, very good. That's the biggest problem. That's
what I'm also
4 teams in the top 10, Jimmy, and this conference is going to be non-existent next year.
That's why I'm also confident, though. If they win the conference, they've beaten 3 other top 10 schools.
Absolutely. And look, they have a long way to go for the end of the season to get there, but Michael Penix is the real deal. And look, people forget what he did at Indiana not too long ago when they beat I forgot who they beat. I think it was Penn State.
Shout out Jeremy.
Yeah, when they beat them during that COVID year, Michael Penix is a baller. He's absolutely a baller, and look, right now he's probably number 2, and he is number 2 in the Heisman race.
Yeah, Bo Nix is probably walking away with that thing right now, especially if Oregon has another game like that.
That's really we'll see. Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Caleb Williams, all 3 Pac-12 quarterbacks. And
Shedeur Sanders is still out there. And, that kid from Washington State, did you watch – were you able to watch that game? That was late on Saturday. That kid from Washington State's a baller too. Washington versus Washington State, the Apple Cup this year, Michael Penix versus I believe his name is Cam Ward. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to get that pulled up.
That sounds very familiar. I think he played a couple of years somewhere else. That sounds very, very familiar.
I want to say he did. Let's see. Stats. Who's the leading passer? Yes, Cameron Ward. Cameron Ward, who are you?
I swear he played somewhere else, or I remember that name playing for a big school, or maybe I'm losing my mind. But like I said, the Pac-12 is arguably the most competitive conference in college football this year. Like fight me up a wall. Who wants to argue with me that, right? The SEC is not what it was. The ACC sure as hell not what it was. Florida State looks like it's going to run with that. The Big 12, obviously, Oklahoma's not what it was. And look, Texas looks like it's running away with that possibly. the AC, like I said, the Big Ten, obviously that probably has the biggest argument for the best conference in college football. But if you want to say Big Ten has the best, I'd say Pac-12 right now has the second best. And like I said, both conferences right now are putting on.
It's crazy to think that it's the last year that we'll get those. Cameron Ward versus Michael Penix. That's going to be a matchup to watch later on in the season. That's a look at the rankings for the first 4 weeks of the season. By the way, conspicuous in their absence. Apparently, if you lose one game and maybe you don't play as well as you might have hoped to, you drop all the way out of the top 25, even though you were 18th going into the game. You get totally dropped out. But that's okay. I'm just going to remember it for next year.
That's fine. Well, like I said, they're going to make a game out of the USC game. I can almost guarantee you they're going to make a game out of it.
They
and then
have
they'll
to
get back in the top 25.
I
don't know if they'll be able to, but I hope. I really hope
they can, because Arizona State is not as talented as CU. The running game, if they got to figure out a damn running game. I love Dylan Edwards. He's great in the pass game, but you got to be able to get him going in the run game, because that's what Arizona State did. I was listening to that game. I listened to the entire thing, watched a little bit of it. They could not stop the run game, and that's what opened up everything else to start going well for them, and that's why they gave USC as much trouble as they did. So if Coach Prime can figure that out, that's what you're working on the next 2 weeks. Figure out a running game against USC. Let's get into the pick'em. Let's give an update as to the scores.
You don't want to talk about a shit show that happened to my team and your team actually getting a big win?
Well, first? I was going to say, I have to mention again, you got a perfect week, 5-0 record, which makes you 13-6 on the year. You picked up another 2 games on me. I was 3-2. I lost the Broncos. I lost the Raiders. As an AFC West boy, that sucks. The AFC West totally let me down. I only have one team that I can confidently pick in that division still, even though I don't really pick them confidently, except their biggest. Except now that I see daylight. Hold on, I got to do this because it's every sports show. I see daylight. I had a cruel summer, expecting something to change. It was 1989 when Travis Kelce was born. The Chiefs wear red. I just need to shake it off because guess what? The Bengals did get a win. I'm done. That's as much as I can go. Raleigh will get a kick out of that. I'm glad that
you write that down. Did you write that down, or did you remember?
No, that was off the dome. Off the dome. I listened to it too much. We drove 4 hours.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy is a Swiftie. Breaking news.
Don't look. I wouldn't lump myself in with that group, and I don't think they would accept me. So let's not put that on the internet because I don't need to get canceled. The Swifties are a terrorizer.
And while we're talking about that for a second, before we get to the pick and before we talk about the shit show that is the Broncos, I want to put it out there that the poll that I put out there, I think I have a fair fight.
What poll?
So I put a poll out there. What is worse, losing 70-20 or losing 41-10, where you had a give me touchdown? Basically, it was 41-3, and Taylor Swift is against you. What is worse? Losing 41-3, basically, or losing 41-3 and Taylor Swift's against you, or losing 70-20, Jimmy. I think I have an argument here, okay? It's pretty bad. Do I have an argument? I think I have an argument.
Both of them were terrible, and they get to play. That's the weird thing. They both had that happen to them, the Bears and Broncos, and they get to play each other coming off of it.
Jimmy, look, it could be worse. At least
it really couldn't. That Sunday was so bad. We were at Red Robin. We were eating an early dinner, late lunch, and it was on the TV. It was on the TV, and Dom's girlfriend Savannah goes, "Oh, there's only 8 minutes left. It should be over soon. They're already up." And then they scored, and then the Broncos had a turnover, and the Dolphins scored. So then she looked up and goes, "Oh, there's only 7. Wait a second, didn't they just have 56?" They said, "Yes, they did just have 56, and they scored both times that they got the ball back." So there's 7 minutes for them to score 7 more times.
The funny thing is, Jimmy, is that they didn't throw the ball.
No, they didn't. They didn't have to.
They ran the ball. They scored. Each running back had 2 touchdowns. I think most
had 3. Each had 200-yard rushers, 2 150-yard receivers, a 300-yard passer. Tua looked like the damn MVP. Jiu-Jitsu tied you in knots.
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu is not even a meme anymore. Okay, Jiu-Jitsu is. And look, I don't know who thought it was a good idea just to not guard Tyreek Hill in the third
Vance
play
Joseph.
of the game, just to let him wide open.
They're not going to expect it. We're not going to
Jimmy,
cover it. They're not going to throw it to him.
I don't think I've ever seen a team worsely outmatched. That's a terrible use of words. More outmatched defensively and schemely than I ever have in a game of football, Jimmy. Like you got to realize how difficult it is to score 70 points in the National Football League. It hasn't been done since 1966. Look, it's even worse that they didn't get the record, honestly, because at least when you see that record, you're like, oh, I remember that game. No, they didn't even get the record because Mike McDaniel didn't want to fucking do a fast one on a organization that did him so well for so long. But
yeah, but
Jimmy, look. Let me get my 2 cents out because this is the worst performance in Broncos history. Okay, and anyone denying that doesn't realize what they sat through. Okay, I didn't watch the fucking second half. I was getting score updates from fantasy football, the ESPN fantasy football app. Oh, Tyreek Hill in the red zone. Oh, Tua Tagovailoa in the red zone. Oh, Raheem Mostert, another 40-yard gain. Oh, Cheney or whatever the fuck his name is. Scored another touchdown against you in fantasy football. I fucking lost, Jimmy, and I had Tyreek Hill and Tua on my fantasy team, and I lost to my father. You know how fucking terrible that is? It makes it so much worse. Look, it is the worst performance. That is a game where if you don't look yourself in the mirror and think yourself, wow, maybe football is not my sport, I don't know what it is. We said, look, Russell Wilson is not the problem anymore. He's really not. Like he is respectfully moving the ball. Okay, look, I rose my hand and said I need Caleb Williams or I need Drake May or I need Shador Sanders, and I'm still on that train because I need something different. Okay, because right now this franchise didn't go scorch earth enough. Okay, it did not go scorch earth enough. It went scorch earth to the coaching staff, and it just but decided, you know what? Let's think here, Jimmy. Who got fired from a head coaching job 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever it was, and we fired him and left him to the streets. Let's bring him back, because the Cardinals' defense was a top level defense, top level defense. They were using Isaiah Simmons so well. They were using, J.J. Watt at the end of his career so well. They were using all those great defensive pieces on the Arizona Cardinals defense. And let's sign us up for that defense that couldn't stop a fucking soul and said, let's bring Vance Joseph, good old VJ back. I am sick to my stomach, Jimmy. And look, all Broncos country should be, because that is like I said, if you sit here and think to yourself, it couldn't get worse. You lost pretty bad. You lost a 28-0 lead, 28-3 lead to the Washington Commanders. That also lost 37-3, worst performance than anyone possible. You gave up a 28-3 lead. No, it gets worse. You had the second highest amount of points ever scored in a National Football League game. You had the second highest amount of yards ever produced in a National Football League game ever. I'm just blown away what this team does to me every week, Jimmy. I'm blown away. It is like I said. I thank God. The Broncos died for the Nuggets to win a championship. I will live on that. Okay, the Broncos had to die for an AFC championship, a Stanley Cup, and a Denver Nuggets World Championship, and I will live on that. And you know what? If I had to die. The Broncos had to die for that, then so be it. But man, I hope they fix it in my lifetime, okay? Because I'm at that point where I'm giving all hope up, and every Broncos fan should, because and look, you have a defense that has arguably one of the best safeties in the game, and Justin Simmons, right? You have injured. You have one of arguably the best corners in the game, Patrick Surtain. You have a defensive line that had Frank Clark on it. I'm surprised as anyone, Jimmy. This team is that bad. Well, that bad. And thank God the Cardinals won this week, because right now we're still in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick. And like I said, keep fucking tanking. Keep tanking, baby. Come on.
We know the culprits now. The culprits are Vance Joseph, George Payton, because you should have
George Payton's seat is fucking
you should at least be able to put something out there with the talent that you have on your team to stop an NFL
team from scoring 50 points. Right?
I get that they should call off the dogs. I think McDaniel tried, but it didn't matter. They had the dogs on, they had the dogs off, they had the dogs on, they had the dogs off. They scored regardless. that was a perfect Joe Ellis, by the way. That's the last guy that I want to get to. If you don't know Joe Ellis's name, that's because you haven't been in Denver since this whole trust situation. Pat Bowlen, unfortunately, his battle with Alzheimer's, his wife's battle with Alzheimer's, they both lost. That battle, the team was put into a trust. The conservator of that trust was one Mr. Joe Ellis, who apparently has more beef than Wendy's does. They have more beef in their burgers than Wendy's. And he was so salty with Mike Shanahan, he refused to let John Elway negotiate a deal for him to come back after Kubiak wanted to leave. Refused to interview Kyle Shanahan when he was up for head coaching positions. We all know what he's done now. Went to San Francisco with John Lynch, having a great time out there. And refused to hire Mike McDaniel or even give him an interview because of their relationship to the Shanahan. So one man's grudge, has now lost out on 3 of your possible best coaching decisions, in where you've gone with Nathaniel Hackett, Vic Fangio, and Vance Joseph. Disgusting. Joe Ellis has robbed this team of everything, and he did it in such a behind-the-scenes way that people aren't even yelling at him because they don't even know who the hell he is.
Jimmy, like I said, it's just so distasteful. It's a disgrace to wear orange and blue around the city. I'll be the first to say it. I can't walk around wearing.
I saw more Avs jerseys on Sunday for their first preseason game.
Exactly. Look. We can call us a football town all we want. It's dying. It is dying, and if something doesn't resuscitate it, football is going to be right there with baseball very, very quickly. And look, that is not necessarily a slight to the Broncos, but it is a kudos to what the Broncos or Nuggets and Avs have done. But this football town is fucking dying. The hottest ticket in football right now in this state is a 3-1 football team in Boulder. And look, the second hottest ticket is a fucking Fort Collins, Colorado. Okay, probably the third best ticket you can buy is in Greenville Village, Colorado, where a team's going after a fifth straight state championship. Okay, that's a hierarchy of Colorado football, because this is so piss poor, and you are tarnishing the logo. This is, like I said, you are putting on Broncos colors, right? You're putting on orange and blue where it fucking means something. And look, no offense to your Cincinnati Bengals. There's a handful of teams you could say have the lineage and the Hall of Fame greatness of the Denver Broncos. John Elway, Peyton Manning, Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis, Champ Bailey. I could go down a full list of all-time greats that have touched the field of grass and wore orange and blue. And what this franchise has done to the city and to this fan base is worse than you could ever imagine. And look, this is a week 3 game that you lost 70-20. You know how difficult it is to score 70 points in the NFL? 1966 that has happened then. College football, that is a college football score. This score that you just saw is the equivalent to a team putting up 100 on a college football, like Alabama putting up 100 points on a team. Plain and simple. Like I said, it is that bad. And look, things have to change. Things have to change. If they don't, this team is going to be washed away with football. I and Jimmy, and look, we are a football podcast. Most of us played football, and look, you didn't play hockey or basketball, but you'd be hard pressed to think that this city is going to turn very quickly if something doesn't change in the next couple of years, because football is dying when it is at the hands of this ownership group. It is at the hands of this general manager. It's in the hands of this quarterback, and it's in the hands of this head coach, because this is disgraceful to the fucking logo.
It's a tough situation. It was a very embarrassing, not even having really a tie to the team, but I said it on Talking the Gridiron. It's tough. 130 points in 2 days between CU and the Dolphins game getting scored on teams from Colorado. It's unfortunate. It was unfortunate that the Bengals, they got their win. It was cool that they did that. Boomer Esiason, Chad Johnson voted into, honored in their Ring of Fame. I really enjoy that they're doing that now, because for the longest time, Mike Brown was like, no, we're not going to honor anybody who played for us. I was like, then you're never going to get anybody to come to you as a free agent. You won't ever get anybody to come back and vouch for you. Be nice to the players, and they will do you right. And they've done that. And as ugly as it did look, a couple things I learned from last night. Trey Hendrickson, dog. Sam Hubbard, dog. Logan Wilson, dog. Jermaine Pratt, he's there. He's in and out. Pratt had the big play in the playoffs, but you have those three on your defense shut down Sean McVay's vaunted motion 110% of the time offense.
That offensive line for the Rams is also the most hideous thing I've ever seen. Like
That is true, but we never had a premier pass rusher that could take advantage of a backup offensive lineman like that. As soon as the backup tackle went in, Trey Hendrickson on the very next play, Louis Riddick said, I bet you Hendrickson's going to step it up here because he's going up against a backup. Oh, he's sacked. It's like, yeah, there we go. And that's I need a Hendrickson jersey. He's had my favorite sack celebration ever since he was in New Orleans. I was like, you're just the coolest guy that I know. You're the man.
Look, it was a win that was much needed, is all I'm going to say. And look,
cathartic. That was the word that came to mind, catharsis.
The two biggest takeaways for me is that T. Higgins is playing himself out of the contract, and B. Joe Burrow will not be healthy all season. You have to. That is a realization that you have.
And that's why I think he didn't come out of the game last night, because I think he knows that too. He's a smart enough guy to understand. It's not like 1 or 2 weeks is going to get me better, and I don't think this team can win with Browning at quarterback.
Nope,
not for an extended period of time. Not for the amount of time it's going to take for your cap to feel 100%.
I'll go out and say you aren't making the playoffs with Jake Browning at quarterback. That's plain and simple. Burrow is
that's why Burrow is going to fight through this injury, and it's probably going to be rough.
It's going to be on Zach Taylor now. But like you said, it's on Zach Taylor. And look, I think it was Aikman or it was Orlovsky who said this so perfectly. It's on the offensive play callers now to put Joe Burrow in a position to not fuck himself up. Right? You know the injury he has. You know what he's going to be capable of every single week. It is the creativity of you now to make sure that he doesn't fuck himself up worse.
Why the hell do we not put Jamar Chase in the slot more? We put him in the slot for 2 plays. He had 45 receiving yards on those 2 plays. Won me my fantasy game.
It is wild because Jamar Chase is that quick off the trip. Like I said, you have to be creative with how you're doing this, right? Joe Mixon's going to have to step up. The offensive line is going to have to be.
Joe Mixon got the only touchdown last night.
This is true. Like, you're going to have to step up in ways that you're overcompensate for Joe. Because, look, Joe Burrow, you're not going to see an MVP season out of Joe Burrow. You're going to get a very, very smart and a very, very talented arm. Plain and simple. That is what you're going to get out of it. You're not going to get mobility. You're not going to get Joe Burrow making plays out of the pocket. Plain and simple. So you better write that off. So you better figure out how to get Jamar Chase in space, get T. Higgins, learn him, teach him how to catch the football, get Tyler Boyd in good one-on-one coverage, and get the likes of Joe Mixon in the running game going, because it's going, like I said, that's a Rams team that's not a playoff team. When you face these good football teams, you're going to have to put up points, and you're going to have to stop the Taylor Swifts of the world, and you're going to have to stop the Josh Allens of the world who put up a lot of points the past couple of weeks. So that's where my biggest problem is. But like I said, you have the talent. It's just going to be on Zach Taylor. It's going to be on not Anarumo, whoever the hell the offensive coordinator is.
Ryan Callahan.
Ryan Callahan. It's going to be on those two guys. Brian Callahan. It's going to be on those two guys to get creative and be smart and put Joe into situations that are going to be successful. Because like I said, the talent, the arm talent's there, and the smart and the will to win of Joe Burrow is there. That'll never leave. But his mobility is where things are going to have to get interesting.
Here's what my response, and then we're going to get into our picks for this upcoming week. It's good. It is good, because if you look at it, they've been getting away with having Burrow make the plays outside of the pocket, because that wasn't his game in college. That wasn't his game. That's not what he's going to be successful in doing in the NFL. We have to see this offense mature and take that next step to be able to win on the plays that you call. You can't just be relying on the fact that Jamar Chase is an animal and will get open no matter what. If you give Burrow 5 seconds, if he can buy 5 seconds of time, Chase will be open in that amount of time. You cannot rely on that anymore. Rely on your play calling. I trust Joe Burrow's mind, because that's what he got into the league with.
Absolutely.
That's what he won through 70 touchdowns in a college football season, because of his mind. So it's good. It sucks that he's injured, and it would be nice to be a little bit more confident in these picks moving forward. But I am still confident in this team. I definitely feel better than I did last week, but I think I said it for the Chargers. I said it for the Chargers-Vikings game. Yeah, you won. You avoided going 0-3, but you're like still in the elimination round of the reality show. You better get a rose this week, otherwise you ain't hanging out on The Bachelor. Your time's coming up. So continue to mature, make it as ugly as possible as long as you're close so that you can win. That's my 2 cents for the Bengals moving forward.
Like I said, the defense needed that pick-me-up game. Like I said, look, winning football games, winning cures everything. That's just plain and simple. It doesn't matter what sport it is. Like you said, that sorrows. It's a lot better. That plane ride's a lot better at home. That bed feels a lot nicer. That hurt leg all of a sudden feels a lot better the next day. Winning cures everything. So, like I said, getting that win under your belt was very, very important because you did not want to get yourself into a hole that bad. So, I'm very, very happy for you to be able to do that.
All right, let's get into our picks for this week. So Nico's record 13-6. I'm sitting at a cool 9-7 after my 3-2 last week. We have 6 games on the schedule because we have the international series. So over the next few weeks, we are going to do the international.
The Toy Story game, by the way.
I am interested. I am very interested.
Might throw that on.
You're going to have to be up before 10 o'clock in the morning. It starts at 7:30.
That's going to be the problem. That's going to be the biggest problem.
You have YouTube TV. It should be able to record, I think. But we are going to do those games this week. It'll be in London. We're starting off Thursday Night Football. Second time that the Lions are on Thursday night because they were the opening night game. Favored by 1.5, going to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers, who held on to beat the Saints. This is your statement game that you're looking for if you're a Lions believer. If you are a person like the two of us have been that say the Lions have a chance to win this division, this should be a game going into Lambeau Field. You need to take care of business. Jared Goff looked better last week. You have to rely now on now I can't remember. It's not Bijan, right? It's Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs. You got to rely on him because Montgomery's hurt and he's not going to be there to back you up. You got to rely on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Continue to play the Lions brand of football that we've gotten used to and win because this Packers team is.
How weird is it to say that?
Yeah,
the Lions brand of football that we're used to. That felt dirty coming out of your mouth.
Over under is 46. I'm gonna hit the under.
Look,
last week neither team could score.
The Packers, for whatever reason, have this mind game on every single team of their division, Jimmy. Every single team.
People just keep looking over to see Aaron Rodgers. It's like a heel turn in WWE where you're just waiting for the music to hit. You're like,
fuck, where is it? Come on, where's the glass shattering? Like it's
the bad man's coming to get me.
And look, the Packers lost their last game of the year last year to miss the playoffs. Let's not forget, to the Detroit Lions. Let's not forget about that. That's got to have a sore taste in their mouth. And look, Packers barely beat the Saints, but it is a win, plain and simple. Obviously, Derek Carr going out hurt them, but barely beating the Saints. You obviously still handled the little brother that is the Chicago Bears. I forgot what their other game this year was, but like I said, it is a who's ready to take that next step and who's not ready to take that next step, plain and simple. And look, and I think the Lions, I'll say it, I think the Lions are ready for it. Plain and simple. I think that defense, what Aiden Hutchinson just tore apart the Falcons' offensive line. My God, Desmond Ridder had no time last week at all. I'm riding the Lions. It's weird saying that the Lions are going to win back-to-back games in Lambeau Field. I think it's the first time in a very long time that'll be the case. But I'm going to pick the Lions. I don't believe in Jordan Love yet, but the Packers always do find ways to win. But I'm riding the Lions.
I was also writing the Lions down as you were saying your pick. I think it's their time, and I haven't bought into Jordan Love. I still don't buy into Jordan Love. This could be a game where he takes a step into buying my trust, but I haven't bought in fully yet. Speaking of Desmond Ridder, we see him in the international series game. The Falcons and Jaguars is technically a home game for the Jaguars because Khan is trying to move them out there. They have back-to-back games in London, so they play this weekend, next week. They are favored by 3 points. The over-under is 43.5. The Falcons looked god-awful last year.
Jimmy,
Desmond Ridder's my fantasy quarterback, Nico, so thank you for bringing that back up. For a cool 4.85 points at quarterback for me.
The Jaguars may have looked worse. That's the thing.
They sucked.
But then again, they, for whatever reason, cannot beat the Houston Texans. They're 1-10 their last 11 meetings.
Trevor Lawrence chokes, all the time.
For whatever reason, I'm picking the Jaguars. I'm not an idiot here. I do think Bijan and that Atlanta Falcons offense is getting there, but Desmond Ridder is not the answer. He's not going to be the answer. That's a team that, look, if come this offseason, And look, I'll be careful with my words here because we have a show that on the Variety Sports Network that
Shut
is
up,
a
John.
Falcons show.
Out of your fucking mind.
If the Falcons can get a first round pick in the middle of the road, they can get a good offensive lineman, right? Get a good offensive lineman at left tackle. Go try and trade for Kirk Cousins, or go try and trade for the likes of maybe Russell Wilson if the Broncos tank so bad. Go see what the market is out there, because look, this team is too talented across the board offensively to sit through Desmond Ritter for another year. And look, they're not bad enough to get in the Drake May, Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Plain simple. So they're gonna have to that big question in the offseason, in my opinion, because they're too talented offensively. They're just gonna have to get there defensively, in my opinion. And you get a good quarterback, solid quarterback, they're a team that can win that division very easily. Because look, a division that now the best quarterback in the division is Baker Mayfield with Derek Carr injured. Come on now.
Is he? Because they got pounded last week.
Baker was
Atlanta.
not the problem. I'll tell you that. Baker was not the problem. He's better than Desmond Ritter. I would say he's probably better than Jameis Winston. And then who's the last team? He's better than Sam Darnold / Bryce Young right now.
Not Sam Darnold's not there anymore.
Not Sam Darnold. Your boy, Andy Dalton, the other redhead.
Yeah,
Andy Dalton.
I'm going with Atlanta because it's in London, so we're gonna get a Kyle Pitts touchdown. Drake London's gonna get a touchdown. They're gonna win. Falcons. And I need Desmond Ritter to have a decent game for me, because that was the league I had Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I picked up Desmond Ritter as like my emergency 1 week. Aaron Rodgers has a bye quarterback, not my full-time starter, nobody on the bench, because there isn't another quarterback for the waiver wire at the moment.
Oh boy, did you run yourself into the dirt. I'm so sorry.
I just should never draft premier quarterbacks, because the year I was the general manager for my dad's team, we drafted Tom Brady in 2008.
Matt Castle. I'm so sorry, Jimmy. I'm so sorry.
Tom Brady in 2008, first play of the season. Oh, no, really? First overall pick. Broncos, Bears. Broncos are favored by 3.5 coming off of an epic loss. The Bears, we mentioned it.
The only good thing the Bears have going for them right now is that no one talked about their fucking ass kicking that they had. All they care about is what Taylor Swift did, okay? That's plain and simple. That's the only thing they got going for them. Because let's be honest with ourselves, 41-3 with a last-second touchdown is not much better than 70-20, okay? That's a big ass whooping. The Chiefs just gave up, okay? Sooner than the Dolphins did, okay? Because the Bears are an absolute travesty, a team that I thought was possibly going to be second in the division. Like they're that bad. Okay, they are that bad. And Justin Fields, like I said, Justin Fields has no confidence. But like I said, Jimmy, I'm not going against what I said last week. Like, I'm picking the Bears. I'm not. What did I say last week, Jimmy? Run in doubt, pick against the Broncos unless they're playing against a division rival. And I probably will still pick the Chiefs to beat them. So give me the Bears. I don't, like I said, I want the worst to happen, Jimmy. Like, that's what you have to realize. All Broncos fans, I want it so bad that the Bears kick our ass. If that happens, Jimmy, if the Bears put up 30 points, Vance Joseph should not be allowed on the plane. How he was allowed on the plane last week, I don't know. But if you let up 30 points to this shitty-ass Bears team, then that should be the nail in the coffin, in my opinion. So I'm hoping for the worst, so go Bears. Wow, that came out. That just sounded dirty. Just sounded dirty coming out of my mouth.
Are you ready for my take two? I'm going to speak now. The Broncos need to be fearless because you've already gotten your asses kicked. I don't care about your reputation. Justin Fields, you suck. As bad as the Broncos looked, you have to assume that a coach like Sean Payton is going to get some kind of bounce back performance. And if I can get a game back on you in the pick'em with your Broncos, not losing and getting one over on anybody, it's going to be the Bears. So I'm picking Denver. I will stick with Denver. I'm taking the Broncos.
If it was any other team, I would have picked them to beat the Bears, but I'm not. Like I said, I'm a man of my word. Okay, I am a man of my word, and I will. And like, my word is that the Broncos, I'm picking against them every single week.
It is also fun for me if you win the pick'em because you have so many points ahead of me because I continually pick the Broncos and you continually picked against them. I know you'd still win, but you'd have to be like, oh, I faded the Broncos and
if I fade the Broncos every week, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna win more than I will lose more. Plain and simple. That's the motto, because this team is not going to go above 500. Okay, just think about that when you're doing the pickup. Me fading the Broncos every week is giving me an advantage already. Okay.
Well, I can do it I can pick the division rivals and still fade you, so that it works out for me in return. Bengals at Titans. Bengals are favored by 2.5. Titans they bounced back the week before, looked like crap again, but the Bengals still haven't put it all together. I'm interested to see if they're able to figure themselves out a little bit more. That being said, I am not going against the Bengals. I picked them every week so far. I will continue to do so. They didn't completely lose my trust on Monday night. The one less day of rest kind of scares me. Vrabel is always a very, very tough opponent, but the last few times we've played the Titans, we've had some success. So it seems like we play well. We played well in Nashville, and they've lost a lot of pieces over there. So it's not the same team that they were a couple seasons ago when they were the number 1 seed. It's not the same team when they went to the AFC Championship. I still think that the Bengals, I have faith in them. Over-under for this game is 41. Way the Bengals games have been trending on this season, I would say the under is probably a safe bet. But then again, I say that it's probably going to hit 80 points by halftime. So what are you seeing in this one?
The Titans put up 3 points against the Browns. My God, 27-3. I didn't even know who they played until I looked it up while you're talking.
The Bengals also only put up 3 points against the Browns. So what are you saying?
That's also true. So maybe it's going to be a 6-9 football game, and we'll see.
69. Deshaun Watson.
Yep. Well, pause on that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Bengals here. The Titans don't know what they're doing. They really don't. They're in the midst of a. Maybe we could win the division, but are we tanking? Should we start Will Levis? Should we start Malik Willis? Or is Ryan Tannehill still a guy? Oh, let's just give the ball to Derrick Henry 40 times a game, because that will make the game close.
I have him on my fantasy team, so I'm okay with that.
That's just all they're going to do until the wheels fall off of Derrick Henry. And for whatever reason, it still hasn't yet. I'm going to go the Bengals. I think they figured out. I will say the bad offensive line the Titans have does set the Bengals defense up a lot better again this week. So I think that will be another X factor, is Ryan Tannehill not being able to get the ball off.
Got 2 more games left. Sunday Night Football. They wish they could flex this one out because it was supposed to be Aaron Rodgers versus Mahomes on Sunday night. Instead, it's going to be Mahomes, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're mad anymore. Like I said, they were scratching their heads. Oh, fuck. No Aaron Rodgers. But now there's a good chance Taylor Swift's in the building again. I'll tell you right now, Harry Underwood and NBC are making all the calls in the world to make sure she's on the fucking sideline. Because the amount of viewership, the amount of stupid shit Travis Kelce has brought to the league, they're looking at Travis like, holy cow, this is a audience we didn't know we had access to. Like Travis Kelce, $5.1 million in jersey sales over the last 5 days. Oh my God. 8 million viewers, 8 million more viewers than the next highest game on that 2:00 slate.
10 million more boyfriends who were told that Travis Kelce's our favorite player now.
Jimmy, Sunday Night Football may be the Sunday night's game may be the most watched Sunday Night Football of all time. I'm going to go on record and say that, because all you need to do is put Taylor next to Kerry. And you have both ends of the spectrum. You have all the men out there that wishes they were Mike Fisher, Carrie Underwood's husband, and then you have all the fangirls out there wishing they were wishing that they were Taylor Swift, and that their boyfriend didn't break their heart in 3rd grade. And then you have the diehard football fans that fucking whatever reason watch the Jets every week. Okay, so that you're hitting so many different avenues, just all hitting you in the face. Pause on that. But so many different things hitting you in the face, and the Chiefs will beat them to fucking shreds. And it's not even going to be close. But I'm going to pick the Chiefs. But my God, it'll be the highest viewed ass kicking of all time, because look, let's be honest, the Broncos' ass kicking was not very highly viewed because people turned off very quickly. It will be the most highly viewed ass kicking of all time, and I will go on record in saying that. Look, I'm serious. This will outperform some playoff games, Jimmy. Like some playoff games this year, and it is the Taylor Swift effect. And like I said, I'm drinking the Taylor Swift Kool-Aid. Okay, so as you will. I don't think that her and Travis Kelce are long term, but you know what? This is a fun little ride. All I'm gonna say is she has a European tour coming up in a month, so gotta get the most out of it what you can, ladies and gentlemen, before she leaves to Europe.
I'm also going with the Chiefs. I think that it's just without Aaron Rodgers, this is not going to be a game.
Hey, Jimmy, isn't it so funny how all those Jets fans are now complaining about coaching, man? Oh, man. That sucks when Aaron Rodgers isn't all of a sudden your Lord and Savior. It's crazy what all the people coming after Daniel Hackett saying Zach Wilson is scared and blah, 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 blah. Get Breece Hall the ball. And why are they giving the ball to fucking Michael Carter instead? Oh, it's like deja vu, Jimmy. It's like I was saying the same exact thing. Get Javonte Williams the ball. Oh, why we can't get the play call in time? Oh no. Oh, it's time is a flat circle, Jimmy. Oh man, crazy Jets fans. It's crazy, right? Lord and Savior Aaron Rodgers isn't there to help you tuck you in on that anymore. Hackett's there, and he's reading you midnight scaries. Okay, so welcome to your fucking nightmare.
You obviously have some feelings, so I'm just going to let that sit out there. We're both on the Chiefs for that game. Monday Night Football, Seahawks at Giants. Giants are favored by 1.5. I like what Seattle's done after week 1. I think I'm going with them. I've already jumped off my Giants Super Bowl or NFC Championship pick because that was fucking ridiculous, and I'm punishing myself. So even if the Giants win this one and I end up losing, I'm going with the Seahawks because they absolutely made me sound like an idiot, and I don't like that. I don't like looking like an idiot.
I'm picking the Seahawks. I think we're both going to look like idiots. Watch. It's the one Giants game where they get back at us. Now
45 points. Daniel Jones actually gets to run the ball a little bit.
The Seahawks are very, very frisky is all I'm going to say. Very, very frisky team. And like I said, they're going to be a team that sneaks in the playoffs. And like I said, it's a division that's with the 49ers. So they're not going to get home field, but they're going to be a team that will go on the road and be a very frisky out. And look, that's a kudos to Geno Smith and Pete Carroll, especially because the defense looks a lot better. And obviously, look, you throw in Jackson Smith and Jigba, arguably the best receiver coming out of college last year with DK Metcalf on the other side and Lockett. Great. That's a pretty good offense. Kenneth Walker looks very good all of a sudden as well.
Rashad Penny's been healthy. But that play to Lockett for the 2-point conversion, that was the most Lockett play ever. Geno Smith runs all the way to the right side and then just sees Lockett over there, and no DB in the NFL can beat him at that play where you throw it and he just leans in front of you. Seahawks did look good, so I have confidence in that pick. Just to recap, I have the Lions, Falcons, Broncos, Bengals, Chiefs, and Seahawks. Nico has the Lions, Jaguars, Bears, Bengals, Chiefs, and Seahawks. So those two middle games, again, are where we're going to see our difference. That's where Nico dominated and I floundered. We'll see what happens. That's going to bring us to the end of the show, episode 153. Hopefully we got you some good information to bring on into your weekend. If you're making your picks, make sure you let us know. Tag us at FEOTV Pod on all your social medias, wherever you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll say it again, subscribe, like and subscribe this video. Please comment on it. Leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Check out the Variety Sports Network. New episode of Top of the Mountain coming Friday with Rev and I. New episode of Sunday Scaries coming Sunday. I'll be back on Talk of the Gridiron. Depending on how things go, we might get Nico back on there. Rev's going to make an appearance. We have a lot of good things coming up and another weekend of football to get ourselves through the week. And I know preseason basketball has to be starting soon since preseason hockey just started. So we're going to have plenty of stuff to start talking about. It's going to be a busy time, but hopefully you enjoyed our episode today. Nico, I thought it was a good one. We're at 153 of these down. We're professionals at this
153, and I haven't sent you the thumbnail yet, but for those listeners, you already know what it is. Yes, I am using Taylor Swift for clout and for clicks.
That's fine. I'm going to rewrite the title. I'm going to put Taylor Swift in the title.
In our eras is all I'm going to say. We're in our eras.
In our eras. That's a good one. Okay. That's been episode 153 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. Thank you guys very much for listening. Follow at FEOTV Pod. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host, Nico Bryant. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.